Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the Haydn Symphony Crusade. And today, oh wow, we have one of the big ones. I mean, a major, serious symphony. It has no nickname. No one knows about it. It's a hidden gem, really a hidden gem in the Haydn Symphony list. We go through these, and all of them have something. Haydn never really repeats himself. They all have something special. They're all there's always a hook, something to get you into the work. But this symphony, number 67 in F major, is a piece of extraordinary depth and originality, and almost a synthesis of all of the things we've been talking about that make Haydn symphonies so expressively rich and so symphonic, so organic and cohesive. And it's all, the thing that makes this symphony, let's put it this way, such a marvel, is that it has that cohesion, that sense of inevitability and of everything fitting where it's supposed to be. But it does it by creating the wildest variety and interesting originality of form and expression. I mean, that's the paradox that Haydn achieves. I mean, fairly routinely, but particularly here. It's particularly evident here because there are many things that unite the symphony and many things that distinguish each movement, one from the next. And we have to talk about all of that. So there are going to be a lot of musical examples, and this may take a little time. I don't know, actually, how long it's going to take, but let's just start with the fact that in terms of its overall structure, it's a normal, quick movement, slow movement, minuet, fast finale symphony. But it is a finale symphony. In other words, the major movement, the biggest and richest movement, is the finale. And the reason that that's true is that it acts in so many ways as a summary of everything that's happened in the previous three movements, although without quoting them. That's the thing that you have to keep in mind in classical symphonies, that you're not usually going to hear thematic recall from one movement to the next. The movements aren't going to share material so much as they will share ideas, shapes, formal strategies. I'll give you a very simple one, a very simple formal strategy. The first, second, and second movements and the finale, not the minuet, all have codas. And the codas summarize the basic intent of each movement. And that's true of all the movements. Now, the codas are all different. The thematic material is different. The volume is different. The scoring is different. But the form is similar. And the purpose is similar. And for that reason alone, we begin to sense that there is a process at work in bringing all of this music together under one roof so that we can enjoy it in a continuous format. That's kind of the game in Haydn symphonies, as you know, that the music evolves constantly and shows both its extraordinary variety, but at the same time, its relatedness. So having a coda is a very simple thing to do, right? A coda is just a tail, a little bit that wraps the whole movement up. That's all a coda is. It's just a conclusion. Instead of just stopping at the end where it sort of normally would stop, it goes on a little bit further to have some sort of particularly colorful or interesting wind-up. And this symphony is amazing, because each one of these codas is incredibly colorful and unbelievably satisfying and totally different from one another. That's the essence of this symphony. That, it's like I don't know, whatever that Vulcan award was on Star Trek, the IDIC, infinite diversity and infinite variety, but it all hangs together. It really does. So let's talk about the work movement by movement, and then we can begin to reveal some of the strategies that Haydn uses to create this absolute screaming and totally unknown masterpiece. I've seen it performed. I saw it performed once. I'll tell you about that in a minute. So the first movement is a rather light movement for Haydn. It's in 6/8 meter, which is hunting meter. we've talked about Haydn's hunting music before. That means you're going to hear horn parts, and the coda particularly will give you a horn fiesta. But the overall tempo is 6/8, which is a light meter. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Da, 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 da. It has a lightness, a dance-like quality about it, because it's in what they call compound meter, which is you can divide it into units of 2 or units of 3, because the main number there is 6, which is 2 times 3. Get it? So the opening theme, da 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 dum dum dum. It's actually da 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 dum. That's how it goes. But underneath it is dum dum dum, like that. Remember those 3 notes, because one of the principal ideas throughout this symphony is the idea of articulation. Articulation is how the notes are played. You can play them very long and attach them all together, and it can be very schmoozy, very songful and lyrical, or you can play them staccato, which is detached. Da 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 dun dun dun. You can have motives that have pauses between the notes. Dum dum dum. Remember that. Because that little 3-note thing with pauses or a little bit of air between the notes is the principal motive of the entire symphony. All of the movements will use it. And they'll use it in a way which is personal to each movement, but which maintains the concept. And so you'll hear that very, very, very clearly. And it's a wonderful thing. So initially, you don't hear the dum, dum, dum it's almost a throw. It's not the main theme. The main theme is da 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 da, like that. Those 3 notes, those 3 little detached notes, only gradually emerge as an important idea. And part of the expressive purpose of this first movement is to allow that little idea to emerge as a significant player, but not in such a way that it's final. You just know that that's there, and then we'll see how it evolves throughout the symphony. So I'm going to play you the entire exposition and the beginning of the development section, because the development section begins with bum, 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 those 3 notes. 3 notes with pauses between them. That staccato, detached sound. And you can tell that this whole first exposition, the whole exposition is based on the contrast between short, sharp staccato articulation and a more lyrical, more legato. Legato means attached. It's ya da 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 instead of da 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 da. That's the difference. And just pay attention to that difference as you hear this wonderful exposition. It's full of juicy material. So let's enjoy the Austro-Hungarian Haydn Orchestra under Adam Fischer and listen to how Haydn lets that 3-note staccato motive emerge with increasing importance as the music proceeds. Here you go. So you getting it? I mean, it's really pretty straightforward. Staccato, legato, major contrast. Now, all music in the classical period, and Baroque period too, features contrasting ideas, some of which are short and sharp and staccato, and some of which are legato. The difference between just that generic kind of contrast and what Haydn's doing is that Haydn is here making something specific and purposeful out of that contrast. And that's not something that you realize right away. It's something that's going to happen. Now, there are two other things about this movement that I want to just note. And one of them is a general trend in Haydn's symphonies. And that is that the motion music, the music that gets us from the opening idea, da, 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 and the second subject, which is very lyrical and very pretty, is very, very motion-like. I mean, it's not formulaic. It's interesting. It goes places. It takes us on a journey. It has some dangerous moments, a couple of shocking detours, things like that. You know, Haydn is starting to do that more and more and more. I mean, he always did it. But as the symphonies mature, you find that music, which with so many other composers, is just perfunctory. It only exists to modulate, to change key, to prepare for the second subject. But with Haydn, that's not true. Haydn's music is constantly coming up with new ideas, and particularly new harmonic avenues to pursue as the music proceeds. So it sounds like when that second subject finally arrives, that you really are going somewhere. And that arrival is a whoosh, we made it moment. It's really, he doesn't take it for granted. And I want to play you the little bit from the motion music where you really hear Haydn saying, oh, look, this is maybe a little bit scary, maybe a little unexpected before the music finally settles into that new key for the new material. Here it is. It's a wonderful moment, a particularly audible moment in this particular symphony that shows you that Haydn is using the idea of movement as a really vital and dynamic force. Here it is. Right? I mean, that comes out of nowhere. It's startling, and it's very affecting. It gives the whole process of just playing these two themes in their respective keys an expressive depth, because the music's achieving something. It's working. It's doing stuff, and that's something that Haydn really discovered. I mean, no other composer was anywhere close to Haydn in terms of energizing the entire musical process. And it's something that Beethoven picked up on like gangbusters. That's exactly what he was doing as well. And he got it from Haydn. So there's that moment. And then, the development section is wonderful. I mean, it's full of this contrast between, staccato, legato, and those three-note little things. You could do it dum, bum, or you can make them very legato. Ya-da-da, ya-da-da. While you have cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha running alongside it. It's not that you have, staccato part, legato part. They combine, they intermingle, they influence each other. And that's the thrill of listening to it. And then there is the coda. And the coda really sets out the victory of the staccato articulation and that little 3-note jump, jump, jump thing. So here is the coda. Plain as day, right? But you have to hear the whole movement. You have to listen to the entire process as it unfolds. And that makes that coda even more exciting and satisfying as an affirmation of the essential concept behind the music. So that's the first movement. Now the second movement, at this point, Haydn's writing kind of amazing slow movements. We've just heard a couple that were remarkable in the two prior symphonies. And this is like that. The alternation of hesitant music, the use of silence, the gradual assembling of long-breathed cantabile, which means songful melodies. I mean, that's what's going on here. And it's going on in the terms that we now understand are going to be determinative of the expressive point of the symphony. So the beginning is just jump, ya-da-da. Sounds like it's going to be nice and legato, but ya-da-dum, bum, 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 bum. Well, staccato. And the entire exposition is exquisite. I mean, I know you use that term rather loosely, but I mean, it's exquisite contrast between those two kinds of articulation, between the beautiful long melodies and long notes and these short, sharp little accompanying motives. And you'll hear several ways in which Haydn combines them. You know, there's a theme later on that's ya da 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 dum bum bum, ya da 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 dum bum bum. You've got both in the same phrase. Or at the very end of the exposition, the orchestra and the winds. The winds are two oboes, two bassoons, and two horns. Swap off little 3-note sniglets. Cha cha chum, da 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 dum dum, cha cha chum, cha cha chum, cha cha chum, cha cha chum, cha cha chum. Wah! That's the end of the exposition. So you'll hear many different forms of this interchange of articulation and theme in the course of a movement that's full of just beautiful ideas, and the contrast between humor, delicacy, pathos. You know, it really is extraordinary how Haydn uses these ideas for emotionally expressive ends. It's not like some sterile intellectual exercise. Nothing like it. So here is the first couple of minutes. It's a long movement. It's a big movement. 9 minutes and a bit in this performance, which is as long as any slow movement, for example, in a Brahms symphony. It's serious stuff. So here it is. Beautiful, isn't it? And you hear how Haydn is constantly playing with this idea of articulation in creating the thematic substance of the movement. But the best is yet to come, because the very, very end of this movement, the coda, you think the thing is over, then it seems to start again, yum, da, da, dum, but the continuation is the ultimate staccato. It's played col legno by the strings. Col legno means with the back of the bow, with the wooden part of the bow, with the stick on the strings. So it just goes click, 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 click. You can't get more staccato than that. I mean, it's the shortest possible sound. It's skeletal, and it's delightful. And then you have the woodwinds come in for the last two notes. Bloop, bloop. It's one of the most delicious, charming moments in all of 19th century, 18th century music, pardon me, and 19th century music. Why not? And I've only heard it performed once, as I said. Leonard Slatkin, who was always interested in unusual or middle period Haydn, did it at Carnegie Hall. And I was so delighted that at the end of that movement, it may not have been Carnegie Hall, it may have been Avery Fisher, but he did it. The audience actually laughed. They got the joke. I mean, it was the most powerful testament to Haydn's genius that I could ever imagine. Everyone got the joke. And of course, it is the final affirmation of staccato, and one of the things that you can do with it to create amazing, delicious, charming stuff. So that's wonderful. Now, the minuet. The minuet has a main theme, which has the three-note staccato thingy in it. And like, it's a much simpler movement than the previous two, because it's just an ABA dance thing. And it alternates that staccato idea with more lyrical legato passages. And that's all it is. It's not supposed to make you crazy. It's very, very simple. So I'm just going to play you the body of the minuet, and you can just hear those three notes, jump, 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 and the thematic substance of the piece alternating with music that's longer breathed. And it's just charming and full of, good high spirits and good humor. Here it is. So that's that. But, there's always a but, isn't there? The trio. The trio is extraordinary. It's one of the most amazing things you will ever hear. I'm not kidding. In anybody's symphonies, it's written for two violins, two solo violins, both of them with mutes. One of them plays very, very high up a hurdy-gurdy tune. It's a barrel organ tune. The second has to tune its lowest string, its G string, down to F, because the main key of the symphony is F major. And it plays a drone bass, a hurdy-gurdy drone, like a bagpipe drone. That's all it does, basically. And while the other violin has the tune. It is a purely original. I mean, it's a hurdy-gurdy tune. It's a barrel organ tune. It's or accordion, whatever you want to call it. That's what it is. And it's fantastic. It's totally rustic. There are wonderful crunching dissonances between the melody and the accompaniment, which sort of stays pegged there no matter where the melody's going. It's totally legato, the whole thing. And it has a sound that is absolutely extraordinary, unbelievably creative and and special. And this is something that is going to characterize the whole symphony, because we heard, remember the coda of the first movement and the horns came blasting out, right? And with the hunting theme, finally. I mean, special instrumental timbres are one of the things that Haydn unites the entire symphony together, while at the same time making them all completely different. So you have the col legno ending of the second movement, and now we have two muted solo violins playing, this sort of outdoor, wistful outdoor music. It's enchanting, and it's so timeless. You would never be able to date this piece from listening to what I'm about to play you. Here it is. What an amazing thing that is. It blows my mind. It really is. Totally unexpected, but that extraordinary timbre of two solo violins. Again, Haydn is unifying the symphony by a principle which is different in every single movement. And oh gosh, that just gives me a chill. It really does. So that's the minuet. Then we get to the finale. Now, this is, like I said, a finale symphony. This is a big finale. It lasts about as long as the slow movement, about 9 minutes. Remember, in Haydn's early symphonies, we had finales that were basically a minute long, a minute and a half. Now you've got what is essentially the largest movement in the entire symphony. And it's, it all depends on repeats and whatnot, but it is substantively the largest movement in the entire symphony, the richest movement in the entire symphony. The opening uses our fabulous three notes. It's bum 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 bum. You're going to hear it all over the place. And by now, it's extremely familiar. In fact, it's so familiar that the symphony might run the risk of being somewhat simplistic, of having this thing everywhere. And you just go, oh gosh, he's doing it again. What difference does it make? Well, Haydn has an answer for us. And the answer comes when we get to the development section, because this is a movement in sort of quasi kind of sonata form. You have the exposition, which I'm going to play you. Let me play it for you now. In fact, let's listen to it. Here it is. So you get the sense, right? You get the idea of the entire, thump, bum, bum motive, which comes back, and the staccato and legato alternations. It's all stuff that we've heard so far. And it does a wonderful job of summarizing the basic content of the symphony. However, when we get to the development section, the music stops dead in its tracks, and Haydn begins a slow movement. technically it's a variation of stuff we've heard before, but it doesn't help to try and figure that out. The thing to note simply is what Haydn wants you to hear, which is that instead of being in cut time, in duple meter, it's now in triple meter in 3/8 time. And it's scored initially for solo string trio. That is 2 solo violins and a solo cello. So again, that timbre of solo strings, we heard it in the scherzo, in the trio of minuet, in the trio of the minuet, and the col legno at the end of the slow movement. And now we have this other extraordinary timbral thing, this new color, this totally new sound. And it's amazing. So you begin with a solo string trio, like a piece of chamber music, and then gradually the rest of the orchestra enters. This, by the way, is one of those moments that tells us that the concept of playing with vibrato is completely and utterly stupid in terms of the period instrument people's nonsense, because, they argue that vibrato was only used in solo playing and never in orchestral playing, and it was only an ornament, and it was only supposed to be used occasionally, and all this crap. Well, Haydn marks this adagio e cantabile, which means song-like, and cantabile in Haydn's day meant use vibrato, imitate the human voice. You had to use some sort of vibrato, and we've got treatises that say that and all that stuff. It's nothing that's controversial, except that they won't do it. And at one point, before the full orchestra comes in, you have one of the violins just holding a note, a long extended note, which every treatise would tell you has to be played with vibrato. And then the rest of the violins enter on the same note. So what are they going to do? Not use vibrato? Not match their tone? Not do what that soloist does? Please. It's just absurd. Anyway, I want to play you a bit of that. I'm going to play you some of its, a couple of minutes of it. It's incredibly beautiful. And it's the apotheosis, Haydn's last great plea for the virtue and beauty of legato timbre, of the lyrical singing tone. And the woodwind parts are gorgeous, and it's just amazing. So here is the central development of the finale. Wholly unexpected, but not quite, because this contrast between staccato and legato, and these contrasts have been playing all through the symphony. Only here they're given their fullest and clearest and most highly differentiated expression. So here it is. Amazing, isn't it? Again, it's music that it's almost impossible to date, because it has this it exists outside of time and style and notions of, it's just creating itself as it goes along in a way which is totally organic and harmonious. So this passage goes on quite a bit. It has sort of an AABB form, roughly. And then there's a big solo for just the woodwinds. They get the tune, and then they're joined by the strings. Everybody is singing. That's the point. All the instruments have an opportunity to sing. And then there is a codetta. What's a codetta? Well, a codetta is a little coda. There is a coda. It's sort of, this is a coda that's in the middle of the movement, so it can't be the serious coda, the ending of the whole symphony. It's the ending of the section. And to end this section, Haydn brings back our sharp staccato chords. Instead of 3, you have 4, actually, because Haydn doesn't want to do anything that's going to sound obvious. And just by doing 4 chords instead of 3 chords, it's you recognize the sonority, you recognize what he's doing, but the motive is different. And it's just these small touches that give you the difference between what a genius does and what some schmo would be doing. But I'm going to play you now the coda to this adagio slow section, which is the lead back to the main allegro. Ta-tum, bum, bum, ba-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, all that stuff. It comes back. You have the first subject, you have the second subject, and then you have the most delightful little coda in which every instrumental group gets to do its little 3-note thing, only this time it's piano or pianissimo before the final chords. A humorous farewell, and they're just going, jang, 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 choo, 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 bum, 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 dee, 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 and then the big final chords. It just puts the perfect finishing touch on the entire symphony. This fabulous extravaganza about articulation and timbre, exotic sounds. Here is the lead back, the recap, and the coda to this movement and the entire symphony. I'm sweating. I'm absolutely sweating. I mean, this piece is it's so special. And I hope that these examples have given you an opportunity to hear just how special and remarkable and extraordinary it really, really is. Number 67. Nobody thinks of 67. It's a prime number. I mean, there you go. And it's an absolutely stunning symphony and example of Haydn's genius. And there are many more to come. This one just popped out of nowhere. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.